Well, I think we're quite fortunate that we have the time as teachers to put in some evenings and weekends and work on music. But I know a guy like Rob who's constantly creating. I think he's got music going in his head all the time. So I think basically, yeah, you can speak for yourself. But
Well, I mean, if it wasn't teaching, I'd be driving a truck or working at a hotel or something like that. I've been doing this for a long time. So I've always had side gigs here and there from time to time. So I find it, it's actually easier because it's predictable. It's an easy schedule, so it gives me lots of time to create.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah. In this band, I sing and I play guitar. Yeah. So when he sings lead, I sing backup and vice versa. Yeah, Sean he was hired as a music teacher at our school. And so I Googled him. I was like, I wanted to see who he was. And then sure enough, it was from Calgary, it's kind of the western part of Canada. But he's playing East Coast fiddle, kind of almost like Cajun style fiddle. And I'm like, man, this guy's something else. So I don't know. We just ran into each other getting ice at the ice machine. I said, you want to join a band? I think I'm in a band, and we got a gig in October. And then the next thing our first gig was at Beertopia. And that was my introduction to Hong Kong. It was amazing. So
yeah, the very first gig was on the waterfront in Central.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're a couple songs away, probably another few days in the studio from everything being down on tracks and just being mixed. And that should be done hopefully soon. But after that, we really want to get out and start playing music because that's really who we are as a band. We're a fun live band, and that's kind of our niche, and that's where we want to be. So we're just really hoping that, we can keep things back on track here in Hong Kong and hopefully around Asia and get out there and start playing our music for people.
I think we've all played in different countries throughout Asia, just not together.
Yeah.
I used to live in Tokyo, played a lot in there, through Cambodia, Vietnam, that sort of thing. So I'd like to take the band through there.
Yeah.
But with the way things are, honestly, we've been able to, we've written 3 songs in the last 2 months.
Yeah.
It's been, this break has been kind of a creative kind of resurgence, I guess. Right.
Yeah. And back to your question, we'd like to be out playing live music, but it's looking like we're looking into some options at this point of playing some online shows, and we're looking at doing it in the music studio. So that's kind of in the works right now. So hopefully that works out. We have a crew that's going to be filming inside the studio for us, hopefully. So that's something to look forward to. But ultimately, we want to get back out playing in venues.
Yeah, I think for myself, I've played a lot of country and a lot of rock, and since joining this group, I've been influenced by some folk and like those kind of rhythms that you hear in folk music. So yeah, that's kind of that.
Yeah, you've definitely changed a little bit of he keeps coming up with these great melodies and these great riffs. Like I said, he's always creating them, and then he'll show up the next practice with something new for us to work with. So I think Rob's creative side has definitely improved over the break.
But I've never really, I've played with lots of groups. I've never written music this well with multiple people. And I find as a group, the Young Bucks can really fire a song together with 6 people, inputting, and doesn't seem to be any arguments. Maybe it's the good beer they have here in Hong Kong. I don't know, but it's definitely, it's been easy, Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of money to be made in as an artist in the streaming industry. That's for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of our friends, you look at these, your streams and followers kind of get you into those festival, help you with those festival kind of circuit that you're in, and then you're building your following through those festivals. But all those festivals are paused right now, so it's really hard. There's got to be, they have to make some sort of change to keep these bands going, because what eventually is going to happen is bands fizzle out within 2 or 3 years now because they can't afford to. They literally just can't afford to do it, Yeah. And it's pretty desperate.
Yeah, that's true. It's not like there's somebody announcing the next band.
As an artist, it's terrible as a, you know, as a listener. The way that people receive music has changed, you know. And like, the fact of the matter is, I used to get an album and I'd look at the cover and I'd open the you know, the jacket, and I'd be reading all of the lyrics and trying to find out more, the more I could about that group. But now it's like, you know, I mean, it's just so, there's so many great artists out there. You have to go look for them. Mm-hmm. And, you know, people get lost as like a drop in the ocean, right?
I think the only way to make money, like the streams are important, and getting your music is getting it out there. And those numbers are important because, like Rob said, if you have a lot of followers, then that can get you into certain events, and they can get you into certain festivals. And then you can start building an audience, and then you can start making some money touring, because I think that's really the only way to make a few bucks as a band is to sell out a venue and maybe sell a few t-shirts while you're there.
Yeah. The guys I know that work all the time, that's what they're doing. It's relentless touring, you know. And I'm thinking of Canadian examples. So like in the wintertime in Canada, they're touring in Australia. When it's, you know, they're following the seasons. And I think that's what a lot of people are doing. That's what breaks my heart when I see, you know, like this is a pandemic that is, you know, obviously affected, you know, more people in more tragic ways than just music. But as far as livelihood and rock and roll goes, I mean, it was already pretty rough, and now it's I mean, it needs to change. Well, I think that goes back to, you know, like you say, there's so many musicians. There's lots of good and lots of bad, but you really need to sniff it out. You got to go find it, and you got to find it, I think, in your local areas. Rock and roll's changed, you know. It's not the same thing. It's not like you've got, you know, a big, huge production or marketing tool for a group. It's, if you want to feel that hunger that you saw in bands back in the day, then you need to go see hungry musicians. And I think that's, you know, unfortunately, like, you know, it's fleeting. And so you have to catch them while you can. It's like fireflies, man.
Yes, the music industry is definitely swamped, and it's easy to make music now. There's so many different ways. There's so many different platforms. There's so many different apps and social networks that people can share music. So it's definitely swamped. And I do think it goes back to what you said earlier about, there was a time where DJs used to like cue us up to good music. And the radio guy, you would trust that on the Friday night show, you're going to hear the new songs or whatever it was. And you would trust that they would introduce you to good bands. And that's kind of a thing of the past. Yeah. And also the amount of work that you have to put in now to find good music, people aren't doing it as much because it is a lot of work to sift through the garbage and find diamonds in the rough.
Yeah. Most of the DJs I know are out of work. I mean, it's a lot of syndicated radio now. I can think of about 10 bands right now that are just absolutely amazing bands that nobody, including anyone in this room, has heard of. Yeah. You know, and I've seen shows where I was just like, holy smokes. But it's just, you know, it's almost impossible to just sustain on that. And it's impossible to be successful without just, you know, jumping in full force and really going for it as far as a musician goes. So it's a rock and a hard place for anyone that's just relying on their own music right now. I think I heard it was Billy Joel was asked if he would make a new record, and he never even answered the question. He said his daughter downloaded an app on her phone that cost $2 or something like that, and it makes a fart noise. And that costs more than any of his songs. Costs more than Piano Man, you know what I mean? And people are out there buying it, but they're not buying records, you know? So we've devalued music. It's just the way it is. Yeah, I think that your idea of making it needs to be adjusted now as a musician. I think that, you know, the idea of, you know, riding in limousines and, you know, partying at the best places in the world, that sort of thing, they're not rolling out the red carpet for rock stars anymore, you know what I mean? And so it's a little bit like you say, you build a community and, you know, try to kind of, you know, make it that way. Yeah, I don't think that we have any delusions of grandeur or anything like that. I don't think that we're going to be waiting for any phone calls from, you know, Tom Waits to open for him or anything like that. But
No, but
you know, I think your goals have to change.
Yeah.
You know, our goals would be great if we could just, you know, perform folk music throughout Asia. That'd be amazing. If we could go, you know, through Europe, I believe that those, you know, kind of folk, that folk community is something that you could get into. But no, you're not going to be rock. You're not going to be rich.
We've kind of been depending on ourselves basically to put on good shows in order to lead us to new things, and it's given us a sense of community in our band because we knew how important every gig was. So in the last 2 years, the 6 of us, like, we worked really hard at tightening up our music because we knew in order to get better shows here in Hong Kong, or in order for somebody in Hong Kong to notice us, not only do we have to be a really tight band, we have to stand out. So we work really hard in the last 2 years at you know, getting really tight and doing things over and over again, and trying to become more of a performance band, because that's really where we want to be. We want people to enjoy watching us, and we want it to be a fun experience.
Bands like the Stones, the Foo Fighters, and these kinds of, there's only a couple of stadium rock bands. It would be great if they did have like a mentorship kind of program, you know, not program, but like some sort of, you know, taking bands under their wing, like you say. I think that's the one way that it would work. The Stones, I mean, what was it? They make, you know, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. Guns N' Roses, hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're just doing like a retirement tour. If they could totally finance a young hungry band that's living off of $200-300 a week as it is washing dishes. You know, if they threw $100,000 to, I don't know, a band like the Stogies or somebody like us or you know, whatever, you name your pick, you know, they can make $100,000 that whole year work, and they would be able to build and create their music and have that freedom that you talked about, you know, the old guys having. Right now it's sink or swim, and you literally have to work, you know, and book your time off to get your gigs if you're a young, hungry band, you know? So yeah, I think that there is some responsibility in some of the big stars to, you know, help out with rock and roll. Other than that, it's just gonna, you know, it's passe, like you say. I don't know. I listen to a lot of, when I'm not listening to, you know, folk music, I'm listening to stuff that doesn't have lyrics, you know, and I try to listen to, you know, instrumental stuff that keeps me focused on whatever it is I'm working on. Lately, I've been listening to like the African kora music, which I think is just beautiful, but I don't know how it would fit in a Young Bucks tune.
No, you never know.
And I don't know what kind of if I could collaborate, if I had like a dream collaboration, it would be Tom Waits, but I mean, like, you'd probably be bored by that. For me,
yeah.
that, you know, something like that would be a dream come true.
I was just going to go back to who I'd like to sit down with. I'd like to sit down with some of the great songwriters right now in the country folk genres, like a Chris Stapleton or a Sturgill Simpson.
Man, that'd be awesome.
Or Gordy Sampson, or some of the great country music writers, because I'm into lyrics a lot. I would consider myself more of a lyricist than an instrumentalist. So I would really like to collaborate with some of the great songwriters that are out there right now.